All right, everybody, welcome back to the Lions Pit podcast. I am your host, Nick Gomez. With me today is my guest, Tara LaFerrara. How are you doing?
I'm so good. Thanks so much for having me here.
Yeah, glad you could make it. I know it's a bit of a trek. Traffic was a little bad this morning.
It's not bad at all, you know.
Yeah.
20 minutes isn't
Where,
bad.
where in Colorado are you from?
Denver metro area. I'm from
Okay.
a town called Highlands Ranch, which is about 30 minutes south of Denver.
Okay.
But we moved out there when I was 10 years old from New Jersey. So Jersey girl, East Coast at heart.
Yeah, Jersey Shore.
That's where the sass comes out.
Yeah.
But I lived in Denver for most of my life and just moved out here a few years ago to Austin.
Okay. I was going to see if you were like used to like big traffic.
Yeah. I mean, Denver has shitty traffic too. Yeah. I think everywhere has bad traffic. Just like, this is something I've noticed the other day, actually. Do you know how like in Austin, people are like, oh yeah, it's like so hot one day and like so cold the next. It's crazy. The weather in Austin's crazy. People say that in every town.
Every town. Yeah.
Denver was the exact same. So I
So
think
is
the
Albuquerque.
traffic is the same too.
Yeah. Albuquerque didn't have that bad of traffic. At least when I lived there, I have no idea like if it's consistently good or
Yeah.
bad now. But what I was going to say is because, again, knowing that you're from Colorado,
Yeah.
the drive from Colorado Springs to Denver
Yeah.
always had pretty awful traffic. Because that's
Yeah.
a trip I'd make pretty often coming up from Albuquerque.
Yes.
Because that's
Yeah,
only
yeah.
a 6-hour drive from Albuquerque to Denver.
Right.
So whether it was, I played baseball games up there, coached baseball games up there, watched a bunch of,
Yeah.
sports events. So
Yeah.
good time in Denver. I like it.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, but when you live somewhere for so long, you just need a change. And
Yeah.
when you're over the snow, you got to go south.
Yeah, I was very much over the snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize it, but Albuquerque's Mile High.
Wait, I didn't know that actually.
Yeah,
It's a
Albuquerque-
mile high too?
Mhm.
Oh shit.
It's high desert, so we do get snow.
Yeah.
I say we like we still live there.
Yeah.
They do get snow,
Yeah.
but just not a ton. Where I grew up, on the other side of the mountain from Albuquerque in
Yeah.
Moriarty, I think it's like 7,500 feet elevation,
Oh wow.
or maybe like
Okay.
68, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
But we'd get a lot of snow there. But Albuquerque is right around a mile high.
Yeah.
I think there's a certain point in like towards the foothills where it says mile high. But that was one of the reasons why they were so big with fighters. They'd go there. I mean, there was a really good fight camp there in Jackson Wink, but
Yeah.
a lot of fighters would go there to train at altitude.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
It's funny though, because you normally just hear like Denver, the mile high city, but like Albuquerque is also the mile high
Also
city.
Mile High City,
You're just
yeah.
not as cool.
Salt Lake City's
maybe?
also really high.
Yeah.
Albuquerque's not as cool as Denver.
But then also, did you know that Mexico City? I love to travel, but I don't know if you do. But Mexico City is also like really high too, but you just kind of forget about.
The only reason I know that is from MMA.
Okay.
Yeah, because like they'll host like big UFC events in
Yeah.
Mexico City, and that's like something that commentators always talk about is the altitude.
Interesting.
Yeah, because it affects fighters huge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are
it
you a
is.
fighter?
I've done Muay Thai for like the last 8 years, which is like kickboxing.
Yeah.
And then the main thing I do is strength and conditioning for MMA fighters.
Okay. See,
Learn
learning
something
things
new every
from
day.
you. You know, I'm
Yeah.
trying jujitsu for the first time tonight.
No, wait, where?
I am so nervous.
Where-
Krav Maga, Austin, ATX.
Never been there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Why
don't
don't you should go to 10th Planet.
Yeah, I'm just nervous.
Go to like, I can introduce you to some of the women there that
Yeah.
like I either do strength training for or I know through MMA,
Yeah.
and you'll have a great time. They'll take care of you.
It's just, you're trying something new for the first time and you're like, I don't know, it's good for me because I haven't been new in fitness for a really long time in
Yeah.
anything really. And I'm like, oh, now I know what it feels like to be a newbie in a new thing. So trying it out. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a while for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although that is me currently getting ready for High Rocks.
Oh, you're doing High Rocks.
I'm gonna do High Rocks in March in Houston.
Is their first one?
First one.
Well, you know what? There's so many great people around
Yeah.
in on it even that do it that you'll probably learn so much beforehand.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, so many people at On It have already done it. And then you have
Yeah.
a guy like Gus who like literally coaches our High Rocks class. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in a great area to do that. But you're in a great area to learn some jujitsu
I
because
know.
this has become like the jujitsu capital.
Yeah.
It's really blown up. It's wild.
And it's really just across the street
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
But there's something about it that just feels very intimidating is all.
Well, it's a combat sport.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you go in there thinking like, oh, there's a possibility I can get hurt.
This is true for sure.
But with jujitsu, especially like if you go to like a beginner's class, and especially if you go to like a women's class,
Yeah.
really not the case. It would have to be like kind of a freak accident for you to get hurt. Like maybe you step on like the edge of a mat funny and roll your ankle.
Yeah.
But coaches tend to be pretty good, especially like at 10th Planet. Like they have some good people there, especially like the females.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm not really that worried about getting injured. It's more about like the fact that I can't figure out something.
Yeah.
I'm a very like stiff human because I lift so much weight. So like I'll go to like a dance class, like a hip hop or something, and I just like can't figure out the moves because I feel like I'm a robot. That's how I feel like it might be. Because you have to be
Interesting.
fluid, right?
Oh, yeah.
With wrestling or with any type of movement like that. You have to like move through your body, just
Yeah.
like with dancing. And I'm like a robot.
Yeah.
I'm like, when can we flex?
When can we flex? Yeah, for real. When can I just squat this other human?
Exactly.
Yeah.
See? Yeah.
I get that. There's a term spazzy white belt, and it's there for a reason because people like go in there like white knuckling it.
Okay. That's me probably.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say is relax.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go in there and relax. Be fluid. Be water. My friend, as Bruce Lee once said.
Yeah. My
Yeah.
husband tells me to relax a lot too, but it's hard for me.
That's a bold move. Telling your wife to relax is like a good way to get hit. I feel
No,
like.
it's very sweet. He's such a calming presence that like in the 10 years we've been together, I have gone from here to here just in like my energy. But like recently I built an app and launched it, and I was just so stressed for so long that it's like taking me so much longer to get back to this like relaxed level. So
Yeah.
he does it with love and care.
That's good. You have to. Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, I tend to be the calmer one in situations.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've dated some fiery women where I'm like, all right, we got to be sure we handle this.
Yeah.
With oven mitts.
Hey, you be careful. You know.
Yeah.
Fiery women are really strong women.
But they're great. Yeah. I've always like, and my buddies back home always give me the hardest time because like I tend to date like athletic women.
Yeah.
I tend to have a little more like musculature than the average female.
Yeah.
And my buddies just always give me a hard time, and I'm like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like a primal, like, oh, breeding stock kind of thing. Like, oh, that's a woman that I can have an athletic child with. Because I played college baseball, and like I know how much baseball meant to me and how much being an athlete like really benefited me personally, socially, all that stuff, professionally.
Yeah.
And so like if I have a kid that's not an athlete, I'm like, what am I gonna do? And don't get me wrong, I'm sure I'll figure it out. But
why are your friends giving you a hard time for liking women with muscle?
Because they're insecure. My buddies back in Albuquerque are insecure. No, I'm just kidding. They're great, but like, yeah, it's just something like, you know, I've dated a couple of women that were like ex-military or fitness models or collegiate athletes, like whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that tends to be like my go-to. And it's great. I love it. But, you know, my buddies tend to give me a hard time about it.
Well, you should give them a hard time back. Like, why wouldn't you want a strong woman? Why wouldn't you want a woman that can take care of themselves and are independent and are also going to push you to be better versions of yourself?
That's what I'm saying.
Saying that is a very strong, independent woman.
And yeah, exactly. Exactly. You were a collegiate athlete, right?
I was, yeah. I ran track in high school and college, yeah.
Very nice. What events?
I was a sprinter, 200, 400.
Yeah, you're not built like a distance runner, no offense.
No, God, not at all.
Yeah, sprinter builds are great. Like so I played baseball, sorry, not to jump in the middle of your story, but my track coach always wanted me to do like 100 meter, 200 meter.
Yeah.
But it was always during baseball season. I was like,
Exactly, yeah. I actually loved basketball. That was like the sport that I loved the most.
Hooper.
But freshman year, I was on the JV team, and I would steal the ball, run fast down the court, and then always miss the layup because my coach would always be like, "You're faster than the ball," is what he would say. But he was like, "You just weren't that good. It's fine."
That's a nice way to put it.
But he was like, "You should try out for track," and I was like, "Track's stupid. You're just running. Like, why would I do that?"
Yeah.
And then the freshman year, I made it to state, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool."
Yeah.
I just like when you're good at something, like I'm sure you were with baseball, you just like lean into that and try and get better and faster. Super competitive too. But I loved it. I just like, I miss it all the time actually too. And that's why I kind of go to On It for some of those competitive classes, because it just gives you that like feeling of like, if I can do this, I can do anything.
Yeah.
And that's just like how I feel about movement and strength and conditioning in general.
Yeah. I love that. Because when being a competitive, like former collegiate athlete, that's why I got so into Muay Thai.
Okay.
I started training, I got divorced at 28, so I started training Muay Thai like 28, 29.
Yeah.
Had my first fight at 30, like that's very late for most people.
Okay.
But I loved it. And it was one of those things like I started showing up to classes, really, I went for like just purely the workout. Like I was like, I just need some cardio because I hate cardio. And I was training fighters at that time. That's how I got invited to come take the class.
Yeah.
And I just loved it. And then they asked me to stick around for sparring. Like a couple months in, they're like, "Oh, you want to stick around for sparring?" I was like, "All right, perfect."
Yeah.
And then like a couple months after that, they're like, "Hey, like have you thought about fighting?" And I was like, "Yes, like absolutely, I've thought about it."
Yeah.
Which is terrifying, but it's so much fun. But it was the competitiveness. Like so now like again getting ready for High Rocks, I'm like, and what kind of started that for me was we hosted like a mock High Rocks workout a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago, like a couple weeks before High Rocks in Dallas.
Yeah.
And I just saw everyone like suffering. And I was
And
like,
you wanted that?
I was like, I want a taste of that.
Oh,
Yeah, I missed that. I miss like how rewarding that is, like to
Yeah.
just ego die and then you're just laying there in a puddle of your own sweat.
So you didn't actually do that class?
No, I was training a
saw
client
it.
at that time,
Okay,
so
okay.
I got to witness. I was a fly on the wall, and I'm like, I kind of want to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's leaning into it. I can't get there.
No,
I'm not
Oh,
there.
really? I thought it'd be right up your alley because you get it in the gym.
Yeah, but I don't run anymore. It's just not my thing.
I just run my mouth.
Yeah, well, that for
Here we
sure.
are.
Obviously, that's why we do this.
Yeah.
I like the actual events I could do. It's just the running in
Yeah.
between. I'm just not. I just don't need any of, you know.
I get that, yeah, for sure, because I hate running. And then everyone's telling me like, they're like, that's the thing, like you're already strong enough for all the events, like
Yeah.
you really need to focus on running. I'm like,
I know.
can't I
And
just show up and do it?
it's still an 8K, which is like 5-ish miles or
Yeah.
something like that. So you still have to really train for that,
Yeah.
you know? And are you doing it doubles? I would.
Doing doubles, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm definitely
That's
not
the
going
only
solo
way
for my
I
first
would
one.
do it, I think, is if it was double.
Yeah. I'm doing doubles with Anthony from the gym. I don't know if you know
Oh,
Anthony.
nice, yeah.
He did it with his girlfriend in Dallas.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you briefly touched on the app you just started. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah.
It's called Broads.
Broads, like ladies.
It is ladies.
I
yes.
always use that term, broads. I like these broads. And like half the time people either don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Or like I get kind of a funny looks like, because it's kind of like sometimes it could be a little bit offensive.
100%.
Yeah.
And we're taking that word back.
Good.
That was the reason why it's kind of a dual meaning. Broad, it means like wide, taking up space, and also broad as in woman.
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole goal of what I want to coach women is that we are capable of taking up space, standing in our power, being confident. And that takes you in the gym, but also out of the gym as well. Like the foundation of what I coach for women in general is to lift heavy shit and to see what you're capable of, but then also leaning into, if I can do this, I can break up with a shitty boyfriend. I can get a promotion. I can start a business. I can do so many things.
I can leave this town.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it just gives you the opportunity to like truly believe in yourself. So the app is strength and mobility focused. It's for women. You can do it at the gym or at home. There's different frequencies available, different programs every month. And
Love that.
Geared toward progressive overload. So just getting stronger over time and increasing range of motion. Mobility is a huge aspect of it as well. And I really actually learned that from On It 8 years ago. And then now I just kind of use it in all of my training.
Very nice. 8 years ago, did you do a certification at On It?
6 years ago, guys, 2018.
Okay. Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was still in Denver and I came down for the durability certification down here and met Christian.
Mm-hmm.
He was in
Placencia.
Yeah. And then about a year or two later, I did the kettlebell cert with Eric and Marcus, kettlebell exercises. He's out of California.
Okay.
And yeah, On It's just kind of like been in my sphere for a long time, and it's just fun that it's full circle. I'm back there now, but yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, because again, starting with fighters.
Yeah.
I got introduced to it and I thought it was just the coolest thing. I was like, man, this concept of On It is so cool.
Yeah.
And fortunately enough, one of the last gym that I was at in Albuquerque, we were like affiliated loosely with On It, like all of our kettlebells, sandbags.
Okay.
We were co-owned by a big On It sponsored athlete at the time, Cowboy Cerrone, who's a big UFC fighter. And so I got to come out to On It to do a couple certifications.
Nice.
So I got to do durability and foundations.
Yeah.
And same thing, like I loved it so much, and I would always come out like a day or two early and just hit up the gym, and it is wild how it's come full circle now.
And now look at us, just in there all the time.
Now we're in that bitch.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, I see Katie Calloway a lot on your app.
Yes. So
what a unit.
Yeah, Broad's app has group coaching, like what I was explaining, but then we also have personal training.
Oh, cool.
So the personal training aspect is custom programming, guidance from your coach. You can get form checks, and we talk a little bit about nutrition, and it's more of a holistic approach.
As it should be.
And she's one of my coaches in the Broad's app.
Very nice. I love Katie. Yeah, her and I have some good conversations about coaching.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but her and I used to be roommates.
I did know that, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about you, but I do know that you guys used to be roommates.
Oh, then you might not know some good things. Then. You might know some of the non-good things. But yeah, I lived with her for like 2 years.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because when I first moved out here, I was down in New Braunfels with my family. And I was making that commute daily up to On It for like 8 months.
Yeah.
And then Katie had a room open up in her house. She's like, hey, like, I know you're making that drive every day. And I was like, yeah, sure. So I lived there for 2 years.
How long have you actually been then in the Austin area?
I was with her for 2 years, and I moved back down to New Braunfels for probably like another 6 or 8 months, and then moved back up in September. So probably like a total of 3 years I've been in Austin, but I've been in this area since the end of 2020.
Okay. So I moved in 2021. So
Oh,
we're, like,
nice.
not
Oh, so
too
I've been
far.
out here longer than you?
Yeah.
Very nice.
Well, did you move from Albuquerque to New Braunfels?
Yes.
Okay. So like in the Austin area since 2020.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I moved November of 21. So only 3 years
Oh,
for
wow.
me. Yeah.
Did you just passed your 3-year anniversary?
I did. Yeah.
Wow,
It's
congratulations.
weird. Thank you.
3 years in, and what do you think?
It took a full year to like figure things out. I don't know if you feel it like this. For me,
I'm not there yet. I haven't figured
really?
anything out.
And I don't know if that I've really figured it out, but I feel like now I don't have to like, I don't know about like pretending to be someone I'm not, but like try to build friendships or network and stuff like that, because I have a good community. We have on it. I have good friends, and I feel like comfortable with like who I am in this space.
Yeah.
Whereas the first like really year, maybe year and a half, I was like, what am I doing here? Who am I? Like, where is everything?
Very interesting.
Yeah. So now I'm like, yeah, it feels good. It feels like home.
Yeah.
Even though like family and like close friends really like back home aren't here, it feels like I'm finally grounded here.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really nice.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I so like to that aspect of like figuring it out, like, yeah, I kind of got that like early when I came out.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to try, like, going into On It, I didn't want to try to be like Juan or like Eric. I was
Yeah.
like, you know what, I'm just going to stick to what I do.
Yeah.
And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's great. I've kind of over the last few years have taken this mindset of like, fuck it, take the leap.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I'm big on my faith. And so I'm big on like, step out of the boat, try to walk on water, like,
Yeah.
because Jesus is calling you towards him. And so when I first started On It, I was like, all right, it's either going to work out or it's not, but I'm not going to try to pretend to be anybody else.
Yeah.
And it's been awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, within the first year, they moved me to lead coach.
I love that.
And yeah, I mean, it's just been such a huge part of my life ever since I've moved out here.
What have you done recently that has gotten you to step outside of the box or be
Starting to
uncomfortable? High Rocks.
Well, and this.
Yeah.
And this, very much this. Like, I love talking, and so people have always told me, like, oh, you should have a podcast. I'm like, yeah, but fuck, man, so many people have podcasts, and I'm like, who's going to listen to me? Again, I have like 2,000 followers online.
Yeah.
And, but like, it just kept coming up. It kept coming up, and it was one of those things where essentially one day it was literally in my face, and it's like, all right, I'm doing this. Like, I got to do this. But it was, I don't know if it was like a struggle to get out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
But it was more so of like a imposter syndrome. Like, why do I have a podcast?
Yeah.
But I've had so many great people that want to not only support the podcast, but like be on and help in that aspect, like yourself.
For sure.
And it's been so amazing to see like the amount of people that actually like support me. And I'm like, oh, wow. Okay, cool. Yeah. And so now next is High Rocks. Like, I'm going to do High Rocks this year. And that's kind of getting me out of my comfort zone, because I am not an endurance athlete. Like, as a baseball player, like it's a very much a sprint sport. Getting into martial arts, like, you have to have that good base of conditioning. And like, but you also, I think it's more beneficial to have like higher anaerobic peaks, and being able to control your heart rate recovering from that. Yeah. But you have to have a good aerobic base to be able to do that. So you have to have like a good combination of both. Yeah. So that kind of took a little bit of a while ago, but High Rocks is totally different than anything I've ever done.
Okay. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I heard you say like, why would I have a podcast? Everyone's already doing this. It's like the same reason why would you be a trainer? Because there's so many trainers out there. Yeah. Why would you do anything? Because there's always going to be so many people doing your thing, and it's because of you. It's because your personality and who you are is why people want to come to you, why people want to show up on your podcast. It's not just another podcast or just another trainer. You know what I mean?
That makes me feel better.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but it's true.
Yeah. I mean, everyone, I think we all, me included, there's so many fitness apps out there. There's so many trainers. There's so saturated, but like there's only one me. Yeah. In that aspect, it's really nice to be able to like step back and see this bigger picture, broader picture, if you will. Broader
picture. I see what you did there, and I like that, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is nice to have such confidence when you're being uniquely you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm gonna be me, and that's why it's gonna succeed. Yeah. And that kind of has been like the mindset of like what I've taken in, and I've had a very similar conversation with Gino when he first started, the coach at On It.
Yeah.
Because at On it's such a demographic of people that can do personal training. That's like, if they can afford to do personal training at On they can afford to leave for the summer and go to, wherever.
Yeah.
And so I had a conversation with Gino. I was like, yeah, there's always people looking for a reason to start training.
Yeah.
Don't have such like a scarcity mindset. Like, then I need to take that same approach with like podcasting.
Yeah. Or anything really.
Or anything, for sure. Because
yeah.
people want to hear you, and people will resonate with your story. So you're right. Like, it is something that like you just own it and be genuinely you.
Yeah. And I think it's cool that you're getting into high rocks because this is you getting to be a beginner again. So that gives your clients a better understanding of like, you're trying something new and getting outside of your box, like they can too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something like I've been fortunate with like a lot of the athletes that I work with. Like, we already have so much in common.
Okay.
Whether it's like baseball players or fighters. Yeah, this will give me something, because like the one thing that like I would really use early on in coaching is I used to weigh 230 pounds, and like a very soft 230 pounds.
Okay.
And this is after like post college years, and I lost from my highest point to my first fight, I lost 80 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, because I fought at 148.
Crazy.
Yeah, and I was walking around at 228, so 230. And so that's something that like I've had clients where I'll be training them and they're like, yeah, but you can probably eat whatever you want. I'm like, nope, bullshit. I was like, I absolutely cannot eat whatever I want, because I don't have that in my back pocket. Like, I haven't been that guy. I was always kind of like a chubby athletic kid growing up, but like athletic enough to do whatever I wanted. By New Mexico standards. Like, I probably couldn't have played football in Texas, but in New Mexico I could play football because everyone's my size.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where it's like, yeah, like I can't eat whatever I want. Like, I have to train. I have to really make sure that I'm paying attention to my nutrition and tracking what I'm eating.
Yeah.
If I want to hit like certain goals physically.
What does it mean to eat whatever you want to you?
Man, I would, to eat whatever you want, wake up, have a bowl of cereal. But now you're like starting to like read more about like, RFK and the ingredients that are in cereal and shit like that. And you're like, maybe not the best thing that I ate Frosted Flakes my entire like high school time. But yeah, eating whatever you want would just be, I guess, like unconscious eating. Where like if I go to a holiday party and I'm just throwing down without like paying attention, like cookies, whatever they have. Like recently we had a white elephant party and there's like tamales and pie and pozole and like all kinds of shit. And I was like, I can eat that and I can eat that and be okay. I can have a little bit of that. But like, I can't do that. I've never had that metabolism to where I could just eat and I'm just super active all day and it just burns right off. Like, that's never been me.
Yeah. Interesting you saying that, because I eat whatever I want.
Yeah.
But I eat things that make me feel good and make me fuel and fuel my workouts and such. But like, when you said you were at this white elephant party and you're like, I can eat that, I can't eat that, does that mean it's too much to have, or is it going to make you feel bad afterwards?
A little bit of both. More so now that I'm like older.
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, if I eat that, like my joints are probably gonna be a little stiff in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah, versus when I first started fighting and I was really like tracking my macros, like I could eat something and still feel fine.
Yeah.
But I know weight-wise, it wasn't gonna benefit me towards my goal of like cutting weight for a fight.
Yeah.
And yes, like now, like last night for dinner, I had steak, eggs, and a bowl of berries. And it's like, I love that. So it's like, why not just like, that's eating whatever I want, but like in a good way. Because it was awesome. And it's like, man, this is a delicious meal. Yeah. But I think there's just sometimes you like crave something. Like the other day, I don't know how, but we had like a ton of snacks in the office on it. And there's like Pop-Tarts. And I was like, oh man, they have like the brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tarts, which are like my favorite.
Especially when they're warm. Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah. I lived off those in college.
Yeah,
and,
same.
Those and the s'mores ones. But I was like, I looked and I was like, nah, I can't. As much as I know I would have enjoyed it. Yeah. Like, it's like, that means I either have to go for a longer run or maybe, increase my sets by a little bit because I have that extra like caloric intake. Yeah. And also it's not the highest quality of calories. So, yeah. It has become one of those things where it's like, okay, I can still eat what I want, but I have to really narrow down what I want. Because I do want Pop-Tarts. Yeah, I do want a slice of pumpkin pie. Yeah. But me, like, so I grew up like super, super poor. Like I was homeless as a child. Wow. And so when I see, especially at a party, like I see a bunch of food out, I'm like, I can't say no to free food
Mm.
because it's still in the back of my mind. I don't know if I have like this worry about where's my next meal coming from.
Yeah, yeah.
So I just load up when I see free food. I have a hard time saying no to free food.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have a hard time leaving food behind.
Yeah.
Like if I'm full, like, and I have a little bit of mashed potatoes or something on my plate or a little bit of whatever,
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I'm not going to leave that there.
Yeah.
So like even if I'm like uncomfortably full, I'll still finish it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's so bad.
Well, it's not bad. It's how you grew up. It's
Yeah.
like your environment makes you who you are today.
Yeah.
But it's also interesting to hear that you know that about yourself, but like you'll still do it anyway because you know you could probably also take the mashed potatoes with you and potentially give it to a homeless person.
Right.
Or you could save it for later, or you could, there's so many things you can do with it.
Yeah.
But like deep rooted, that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming, and that has been like a realization
Yeah.
like over the last year or so of like, why do I do this? And I'm like, wait, why do I do this? And then I kind
Yeah.
of like broke down. I was like, yeah, probably because up until the last 4 or 5 years, like I wasn't always sure like when like food's in the fridge, like whatever. Like I wasn't always
Yeah.
like super comfortable like with that kind of stuff. So I was always like, like I should probably just finish eating this
Yeah.
because I don't know if I'm gonna eat later.
What about your relationship with food, like when you were an athlete, like a baseball player and, a fighter?
As a fighter, again, I was 28 when I got into that, so I was
Yeah.
much more.
Yeah.
I'm still not mature, but I was much more mature when it came to that aspect of it. But like as a high school and college athlete, I ate so bad.
Yeah.
Again, I really ate a lot of like Pop-Tarts my sophomore year of college.
Yeah.
Freshman year of college, I remember one of my favorite like little treats is I'd get like a spoonful of peanut butter and dip it in a box of Kix, and then pull that out and like eat that. Yeah, so fucking
what
funny.
we did.
I know, yeah.
I
and
ate so
then-
many ramen noodles. Like, I don't know about you.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like, that was,
yeah. I ate a lot of ramen noodles growing up.
yeah.
Yeah, ramen is. I mean, it's so cheap. It's so
Yeah.
easy. And then I had a buddy, Craig Ansbach. He's a coach back in Albuquerque. He told me, and I guess this was like a dorm room thing. He's like,
Yeah.
no, get like when you make your bowl of ramen.
Yeah.
He's like, get a spoonful of peanut butter and like mix it in. And I was like, oh, that sounds disgusting.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, it's kind of like a Thai peanut sauce.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it reminds me of
Yeah,
like
he's like, but at least it
Thai.
adds some like decent calories to the ramen instead of
Protein,
just
a
like
little bit.
no, yeah, a little. I hate people that are like, I eat peanut butter for protein. I'm like, that's not it.
Yeah, I'm like
That's-
very little.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, peanut butter is not a protein
Yeah.
source. But it like mixing that into like the ramen noodles, I was like, oh, that's actually kind of good.
Yeah. I think like as an athlete or just growing up, we should be taught way more about nutrition, right?
Mhm.
Because when I hear you talking about nutrition, even just like at parties and stuff, it's like, what's in things at this point. And I would consider that as more like intuitive or mindful eating. You know
Mhm.
that this isn't going to make you feel good tomorrow. You know this is going to fuel you. And we always have like that's in the back of our mind as we choose what we want to eat. And so I come from I don't like good versus bad eating. I don't like a cheat meal. I'm like what do I need right now? And if
Mhm.
it's a donut, cool. If it's cereal in the morning, awesome. I'm not like feeling guilty or feeling like I have to do more based off of that. Because that's just a little blimp in your day. It's not like you eat that one Pop-Tart on it means, okay, fuck today. Let's eat whatever I want and do whatever I want. You know what I mean?
For sure, yeah. 'Cause it is like a gateway almost. Like,
Yeah.
I had one bad thing. I guess my day's just ruined.
Yeah.
I'll have a couple bad things.
But we all know that's not true, right?
Right,
Like we
yeah.
can be sitting in traffic in the morning and it can suck, but that doesn't mean the rest of your day has to suck.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's like I heard someone talk about this. They're like, yeah, just because there's one bad chapter in the book doesn't mean the whole book has to be bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like to that same breath of like, well, just because you have so many hours in a day, just because you had one bad hour doesn't mean the other 23 have to be bad.
Yeah. It's very much this all or nothing mindset, which I think a lot of us come from, especially as athletes. If like you're not the best, like you're far behind, or like if you don't do it all, it's not going to work.
Right.
But as we get older and know that like our life isn't just the sport, which I was a student athlete, but like athlete was always first for me because that's
same.
what I loved. Like
Same.
student was second. But then when
Maybe
you take
third.
Yeah, right. Or actually, yeah, after partying for
Yeah.
sure. And then you have this loss of identity because you are not in that sport anymore. And you're like,
Mhm.
who am I? And all these things start to like crumble, but really like you can go back to, okay, what makes me feel good?
Yeah.
Movement. What makes me fueled? Protein, good sources of food and whole ingredients. What else? Like what kind of social environment? People that support you and lift you up. Like, and so you can gradually start to like uplift you with all those things. But when you first leave the sport or leave school, you're like, who am I now? You know?
Yeah, for sure. And that's when I got up to, like I said, like 230, like 228,
Yeah.
230.
So
It
right
was,
after college then.
yeah, I mean, it took some time, a
Yeah.
couple of years to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
that big, because I think I probably, when I stopped playing college baseball, it was probably like right around 185. And then shortly over time, over, like I said, probably a couple of years, I got up to like 230. And
Yeah.
then, like I said, that was like my married years. And I was just comfortable doing like I worked like 2 random ass jobs, like just trying to pay bills. And
Yeah.
my wife at the time was like finishing up grad school, and I was just like gave up on so much of like who I was and what I wanted to do, and didn't even notice it. And it was one of those things. Just one day, because I still played men's league baseball at that time with like a couple of ex-college players from that I grew up with,
Yeah.
and we were playing in a league, and someone's like girlfriend was a photographer, came out, took a bunch of pictures like during one of the games, and I was like, all right, cool, yeah, I'd love to see him. And I look at one of the pictures, and I'm like, why didn't you guys tell me I looked like Winnie the Pooh? I was like, and of course that's like, a joke, but like I knew that I was getting bigger at that time. But like once I actually saw a picture of me like swinging a bat and big old like gut hanging over my belt, I was like, oh no. And that was actually right before I got married. I was engaged.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to lose some weight before I get married. So before the wedding, I think I had honestly lost like 30 pounds, got down to like 190-ish, 195. But yeah, just one of those things where I was like, as struggling as a post-collegiate athlete of like, who am I? What do I want to do?
Yeah.
And that's what got me started into training.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, what was I good at? Athletics.
Yeah.
Okay, how can I use that to help people? Because I know I'm here to help people.
Yeah.
I can help people like lose weight, because I started to lose weight, saw how much it helped me, how much it benefited me.
Right.
And the rest is history.
I think a lot of people get into fitness or their like health and wellness journey because you have some sort of aesthetic goal, which is totally fine to want to lose weight or want to gain muscle, body recomp, or anything like that. But I really hope that people can then focus as they're getting into this, that it's so much more about how you feel than the way you look.
Absolutely.
Of course, like the weight did come off, and that was like a very specific thing that you were trying to do. But like, how did that help your overall life?
Yeah. Moved better, felt better.
Yeah.
Slept better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I was getting towards the area of like sleep apnea. But there was definitely times I'd wake up and I felt like short of breath, and I was like, fuck, was I breathing? Would I stop breathing in my sleep? Yeah, because again, if I had to throw a percentage on it, I was probably like around like 34% body fat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was wild. But yeah, just one of those things again, and that's kind of the same message that I preach now. I'm like, all right, let's not focus on the number on the scale.
Yeah.
Let's focus on how you feel, how you move, how your clothes fit.
Yeah.
Because again, that your weight might not change that much, but your body, what's the word I'm looking for?
Recomposition.
Yeah,
like
composition. Yeah, your body composition can definitely change.
Yeah.
Without your weight changing a lot.
For
and
sure.
it can change a lot for sure, as we know. But
Yeah,
your body composition is what you should pay attention to.
It just depends on like where your starting point's at. For example, like I actually did body recomp like basically in the past like 6 years, but that was never on my mind. It was like as I started to like gain more muscle and lose more fat, I just got stronger over time.
Sure.
And then my body changed, and I was like, oh shit, it's because I changed so much about my training, not even necessarily about my food intake, but like I weigh the exact same amount as I did 6 years ago, but my body is so different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw you recently post about that.
Yeah.
You posted like, at this specific size, like I was training 5-6 days a week.
Yeah.
Going hard, blah, 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 blah. And then you post a picture of you now, very like visible difference.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is me 2 or 3 times a week in the gym and doing this, that, and the other. And I was like, damn, good for you. But that's like the message that needs to be out there, because you see some of these people that are really like preaching the extremes, but the extremes like are such like clickbait. You know what I mean? Like people will like latch onto that, and it has such a high burnout rate.
So high, which is like exactly what I try to do with Broads, my app, and also just like how I coach clients is like, I used to be the hit girly that would work out every single day. I used to, like some people at the gym, work out twice a day. And I'm like, what are you doing? It'll catch up to you, but hopefully not.
Yeah.
It burns you out. You lose your period. You have way less energy. Your sleep is shit. And so it takes a while to like change that mindset of like, oh, do less. No way. Like I have to sweat more.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? But then when you see those noticeable difference on how you feel and how much strength you gain with just like more intention and focus behind your workouts, it's insane the changes that you can make.
Yeah.
And it's more sustainable,
Way more
right?
sustainable.
Like
Yeah.
maybe in my early 20s, I could have the time to work out twice a day, but
Yeah.
not anymore.
Yeah, I don't have that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless it's like a lift and a walk. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Yeah, something
exactly.
like that, which I don't know if most people consider a walk workout, but I think walking is great. I think more
Yes.
people should walk.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a very noticeable aesthetic difference when you
Yeah.
posted those two pictures.
Yeah.
And and I know you're not doing it for the eye of the male, but like from the male, like on the outside looking in, like a much better difference with a more relaxed schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like the same thing. The last girl that I dated,
Mhm.
she was a college soccer player, then military, then she started doing like fitness competitions.
Yeah.
And like we had such a hard time relaxing because she felt like she always had to be going.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, how are we gonna take trips? How are we gonna do vacations? Like if you feel like you have to have like a kick-ass workout every day.
Yeah.
Which again, I respect that
Right.
because like I've been there myself. But there's a time to relax too. Like there's a time you need to like recover and chill.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where it kind of like we'd butt heads on it.
Yeah.
I'm like, and also I was like, she looked great. I was like, you
Yeah.
look great. Like if you take a day off, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But that's so
hard
hard.
for a lot of people, especially like competitors like that. I very much preach, I don't count calories, I don't count macros. I'm like very intuitive with eating and movement, all those things. But there are people that really love that. They love the data. They love progress photos. That to me is like, can be very lean more towards eating disorder, orthorexia kind of thing. And so I lean into like, how can we make this just a part of your life for the general population?
Yeah.
Because the general population are not going to be on stage. General population, even including myself.
You don't want to get on stage?
And oh God, no.
No?
No.
Yeah.
Never.
It's a lot. You're jacked though, is what I'm saying.
Yes. And I don't want to put my body through all of that.
Tough.
And like it really messes up with your hormones. And I don't want to be my body.
Yeah.
I am not, like, my business card is not my body. While I am super jacked, in quotation
The proof
marks.
is in the pudding.
It is there. And yes, I show my body online, but that is not who I am as a coach or want people to want to work with me because of the way I look. And it's hard as a woman, as I'm sure you've seen, is like people want to work with people that they want to look like.
Yeah.
And I really try and focus on like, how can we make this sustainable? How can we make this long term? And it's not as sexy to talk about sleep and hydration and walking, but like that is the key to longevity.
That's what works.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is one of the things, like I said, it's not sexy, like those things,
So
but they're like
not
the
sexy.
three most should be like easily available things that are arguably the most important.
Yeah.
Especially sleep and hydration.
Yeah.
Like, of course, like walking and like the caloric output you have throughout the day. But when I talk to people, I'm like, how's your sleep? How's your nutrition? How's your hydration?
Yeah.
Because again, it was one of those things. I remember hearing it and I hated it. But like, you can't make abs are made in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I used to hate that saying. I was like, no, I can outwork a bad diet.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, you can't. Especially like I said, that was really the lesson I learned in fighting. Because like I'm 5'8", at my height fighting, at that time when I first started, I probably would have had to fight at like 170 pounds, walking around at like 195. And it's like, I would have been tiny at 170 pounds compared to the other 170 pounders. Like those guys are like 6'2", 6'3", really lanky, former collegiate wrestlers, like that kind of build. And I was like, nope, I cannot fight at that size. So like I had to diet down and started eyeing more like 145. But I knew that like it was going to take a lot of discipline. So when I was in fight camp, I'd walk around probably like 163, 165, and then I would never dip into the 150s until like fight week. And then with fighters, and it's very unhealthy. All of this.
I was just going to say, like 20 pounds in a week is wild. In a day, like it is crazy to me.
My first water cut, I cut about 13 pounds in 24 hours. My second water cut was like 10 pounds in 24 hours.
I have to know, what is the science behind what that is doing to your body? If you are constantly cutting weight, it's just like, I mean, from a hormonal perspective, from a woman doing all these competitions all the time and not reverse dieting or and gaining all that weight back and then losing it again is so bad for
Mhm.
us as women. So like, what does that do for you
It's awful,
guys?
and everyone knows it. Everyone in the industry knows it, but it's just
Yeah.
that it's the seedy underbelly of the sport. Like it's the ugly side of it, where it's
Yeah.
like, and it's rough when you're in there. Like, and it's scary too because like people get really sick during it. You see a lot of people get random like colds and stuff that pull them from the fight because their
During?
immune systems are so shot. Like during the weight cut, like during fight week. Fight week is when you're really like depleted, like nutrient wise.
Yeah.
You'll still like be eating fight week, but
Yeah.
like the last this is like I have a water load protocol from the UFC Performance Institute up in Vegas, and they break it down really well as far
Yeah.
as like there's like a mathematical equation for how many ounces of water you want to drink per pound of body weight, and they do talk about nutrition in there as well. But
Yeah.
like it's one of those things like last 24 hours, most people don't eat anything, and it's just a lot of sauna time. It's a lot of like salt baths where you're just trying to sweat everything out.
Yeah.
You wrap yourself in like towels, and it's very unhealthy. You'll see people like look like not to make light of concentration camps, but like on the scale, like they look like they just got out of a concentration camp. Like their ribs out, there's hip bones, there's cheekbones, they're like wobbling on stage.
So, and I forgive me because I'm a little ignorant in the sport. You are weighing at that. And then right after, you basically eat as much as you can, right?
Hydrate as much as you can, yeah. Because after that much of a water cut, you
Yeah.
can't eat. It's like I remember, and no one told me that after my first weight cut.
Oh, okay.
That I dehydrated, and again that was like 13 pounds because I had to travel for that one, so like schedule wasn't great.
Yeah.
But you cut all this water weight, and I
Yeah.
drank like a bottle of Dasani with electrolytes in it. Like I just chugged that right away,
Yeah.
and then I went to eat like a granola bar, and it felt like I was like swallowing shards of glass. Like my throat was like so dried out. I was like, oh
Really?
God, I should not have eaten that. Yeah, so like if you're gonna eat right away, something super like easy on your palate. Like
Yeah.
my second fight was oatmeal and peanut butter and creatine.
Okay. So you weigh in, and then how long after the weigh-in are you actually fighting?
It's typically like around, depending on the promotion. Some states will do same day.
Yeah.
But then they like some states will also have like limits on how much you can weigh on fight day. Like you can only weigh 10% higher than your weigh-in weight, which is
Okay.
pretty
Okay.
smart. But that's not in the UFC. The UFC doesn't give a shit about that. They want entertaining fights, and if a
Yeah.
bigger dude walking around at a smaller weight like can make that weight and be healthy, they will tell guys. Like I was working with a fighter named John Dodson
Yeah.
that spent a majority of his career fighting at 125 pounds. But then towards the end of his UFC career, they're like, no, you have to fight at 135 because that's too much of a weight cut for you. So they will let fighters know, like, hey, or vice versa. Like Cowboy Cerrone was at 170, went to the UFC PI, they did a bunch of tests. So like, yeah, you can still make 155 and be fine. So they're still like they'll do stuff like that, but usually you have like 30 hours after weigh-ins
Okay.
until you fight.
So you're basically gaining another 10 or 15 pounds.
Yeah, you're usually gaining
Like,
the
how
weight
crazy
back.
is that when you think about it?
Wild.
You're losing 10, 15, 20 pounds and then gaining that right back, like within the day.
It's nuts. It's not healthy. And like I said, everyone knows it. And it kind of goes back to I don't know if it's still a thing, but I remember when I was in high school, they made it illegal for wrestlers to like run around like wearing trash bags because they
Yeah.
sweat so much. Like they made that illegal in high school, which it should be.
Yeah.
But people still really take that mindset into MMA and will still do those kind of weight cuts. And it's tough. It's
Yeah.
really tough. But especially like, so if you watch a fight and you see a guy that's like a bigger dude for the weight class,
Yeah.
you'll see them like tend to get knocked out a little easier because like your body will rehydrate like within 24 hours, but your brain usually takes longer to rehydrate.
Wow.
So you'll see guys get knocked out easily if they have bad weight cuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, which again is also not great for your brain.
This whole sport is wild to me. I
Barbaric.
really loved football growing up because I have 3 brothers and I just like loved watching it. I was a big New York Giants fan. And then I realized how crazy the injuries were and also just like how much the men get away with in the sport
Yeah.
outside of the sport. So I don't watch it anymore. But like I feel like football is such a contact sport and you can get so injured and so hurt. And then there's this whole other piece of it, which is fighting. Like
Yeah.
you are literally trying to hurt someone. And long term, I think there's so many sports that you are just so bad for you
Yeah.
after you're done with it because it's like there's always a certain point. I mean, besides Mike Tyson at 60 years old fighting,
Which shouldn't have happened.
which is so silly anyway. But there's a certain time in your life where you stop the sport and then
Yeah.
you have to live your life. And it's like, how much will your life change after you get hit a million times in the
amount of
ring
times, yeah.
or, you know, tear your ACL 50 times on a football field or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It just feels like it's like, what is the reasoning behind it, you know?
Yeah. And what's I mean, the reasoning behind it is, you know, like we've talked about competition.
Yeah.
There's some people that have like the financial obligations of like, I have to make this for my family.
Yeah.
Because like you go to Thailand and you have like little kids doing full contact Muay Thai,
Yeah.
but they're getting paid and like that money goes towards their family. So like
Yeah.
that's a real bad situation, obviously. But it's such a part of their culture. It's kind of beautiful at the same time.
Yeah.
Like monks like have to bless you to get like a true like Thai tattoo. Like I said, the part of the culture like that Muay Thai is to Thailand, like I said, brutal, very beautiful at the same time.
Yeah.
And then you look at the difference in brain injuries between like not only football, but you look at the difference between like boxing and MMA.
Yeah.
Like boxers tend to take way more damage even though they have bigger gloves, but that's like a lot of like rocking of their brain with
Straight
a
to the
padded
head.
glove. Whereas in MMA, you have a 4-ounce glove. Like you get knocked out, you're done. Like you don't have an 8-second count to get back up and get knocked out again like boxing.
Yeah.
You're not constantly. Don't get me wrong, sparring is still sparring, but I feel like boxers tend to spar harder, and maybe it's because they feel this false comfort of like a big padded glove.
Yeah.
But also in MMA, like you can lose a fight by submission or whatever, and there's no brain damage in that. So that's why people, like when I talk to especially females, I'm like, get into jujitsu. You're not going to take any brain damage, and it is the combat sport where size matters least. So like you say you're, you know, on 6th Street and, you know, some big drunk guy is trying to assault you. Say you've been training jujitsu for like 6 to 8 months, even at your size. Like I would have confidence in you in that fight, especially being an athlete and being like a stronger woman.
Yeah.
Like if you know a little bit of jujitsu versus someone that has no jujitsu,
Yeah.
like you can easily dismantle that person. So I always tell females, I'm like, get into jujitsu.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also it's a sport you can technically do forever because you don't take brain damage.
You know, it's new for me. It's been around for a long time, but like I actually love seeing like kids be involved in it too. I've been seeing that a lot more too. I'm just like, this feels like a really great sport for kids to get into, to understand their body and just how to move in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's such a confidence builder. Learning a combat sport.
Yeah.
Like I tell a lot of people this, like I don't know anybody that actually knows how to fight that likes to fight. Because like you know the severity of it, like you know what can happen.
Yeah.
I also know that like say I'm face to face with a guy in a bar, that doesn't mean his buddy's not going to come up and punch me in the back of the head.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I don't like to fight unless it's in a ring.
Yeah.
And if I'm getting paid for it, you know, like I'm not going to fight for free. I'm not going to risk breaking my hands in a street fight.
Right.
I'm not going to risk getting sucker punched or stabbed.
Yeah.
Like that was one thing. Have you heard of, you know who Tim Kennedy is, right?
I don't think so.
He's a bigger person in the fitness community here in Austin. He's big with Roca. Former Green Beret, like badass Army career, but also a former UFC fighter. Like I think he's got all the way up to like rank number 5. But total badass. But he hosts a sheepdog course here. It's called Sheepdog.
Oh yes, okay, I've heard of it.
Yeah, like Claire's done it, Mary's done it.
Yeah.
You know, Hannah Eden's done it.
Yeah.
That is such a great course. You learn like a good amount of jujitsu that is applicable to street situations. But the main thing that they preach over and over again, I was telling this to somebody and they're actually kind of surprised, but I was like, the main thing they preach over and over again is the best scenario is one where everyone goes home. Like if they want to steal your phone, they want to steal your wallet, they have a knife or a gun, like let them. You can get that stuff replaced.
Yeah.
Now, if there is no other option than fighting, here's what you do.
Yeah.
And so they teach you, you do a total of like 10-ish hours of jujitsu over the weekend, and then you do another like 10 hours at a shooting range. So like you learn like pistol proficiency, you learn hand-to-hand combat, you learn like situational awareness.
Yeah.
It's a really, really good course, especially for females. I think everyone should do it.
Cool.
But like I would love my sisters to do it. Yeah, it's great.
Do you have 2 sisters?
I have 3.
Okay. Are you the only boy?
No, I have 2 other brothers.
Oh my God, you have a huge family.
Yeah, old school Catholics say they just they must have not had a TV or something. Nothing better to do.
Something like that.
Yeah.
We have 4 in my family, and I thought that was a lot, but 6
All
is
brothers?
a lot. Yeah, I have 3 brothers.
Wow. Oh yeah, you said 3 brothers. Footballs. Yeah,
2 older, 1 younger. Yeah.
Yeah,
Are you in the middle?
Towards the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, like middle bottom. I have a younger brother and a younger sister, 2 older sisters, and an older brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they all over the place? They live here?
Brother in Austin, 2 sisters in New Braunfels,
Yeah.
and then a brother and sister still in Albuquerque.
Okay.
Yeah.
Close with them?
Yes. Yeah. My family is very close.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like a Colombian thing or what, but I've always had buddies that are like, or friends in general, they're like, man, I love how close you are with your family. I was like, yeah, they're my best friends.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah,
sweet.
I've spent the most time growing up with them. So
That's nice.
yeah, and that was one thing about having like a big family is there was never a dull moment.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Where are you in the order?
I'm in the middle. I have 2 older, 1 younger. My family is a little broken at this point. There was a divorce, and now we're kind of all in our own little separate ways. I still love them and wish that we could be a little bit closer, but we're just not at this point in life.
And that tends to be the more common story, like versus like me, where I'm like, yeah, I talk to my family like every day.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous of it, to be honest. I appreciate it, I
Yeah.
guess, if anything more than that. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I'm very fortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love my family so much, and like I said, they're super supportive of everything I'm
awesome.
doing, and they're great. They're fun people. Like they're genuinely like some of my best friends.
And you want to hang out with them. You
I
want to
hang
be
out with
around
them. Yeah, I
them.
enjoy hanging out with them. I
Yeah.
enjoy hanging out with my nephews. Even my sister's cats I like,
I love it.
which is weird.
Do you have so you have how many nephews?
I have 4 nephews.
Okay.
4 nephews, 1 niece. Yeah, that's
I
right.
have 5 nephews and a niece.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I love hanging out. You want kids, I hear,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
I love hanging out with kids. Like they're so much fun, but I still am like on the fence if I want my own kids at this point.
I find to hear that more often from fit females.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I'm not going to lump you into this category,
please.
but the females I have talked to, it's been a bit of a narcissistic thing. Like I work so hard.
I'm not going to lump you in this, but
no, I'm saying because we haven't had this conversation.
Of course.
But it's like I've worked so hard for this body, I don't want to ruin it kind of thing. But then you look at like Hannah Eaton, and it's like, oh no, she's right back to being a very dynamic individual and she's still a full-time mother.
Yeah.
And so it's like that's still obviously, and then there's a lot of women out there that do have that. Like they've had kids and they've been able to, keep their body looking the way that it was before or bring it back to that. But I get it. I that's something that I will never have to consider.
Yeah.
And so it's not, that's not something that I can like speak on as far as like my ex-wife. That was honestly a conversation that came up. Like when we first met, we talked about having kids, but she was an Olympic lifter, All-American softball player, like kind of getting into that, and like had thoughts of potentially getting on stage. And towards like the end of our relationship, she was like, I don't know if I want kids because I've worked so hard for this body and I don't want to ruin it. And I'm like, well, that's not what we talked about before we got married. And that wasn't by any means like what was led to the demise. But it was a conversation that was had.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things like I kind of hear that sentiment coming a little more from like fit females about being hesitant towards having kids.
There's so much more to it than that for
I'm
me.
sure. Yeah, like I said, I will never have to really deep dive into what that takes.
Especially because I am so not my body. Like I appreciate my body and everything that it does and what it looks like, but it's so much more than that. Having my own business also changes the whole dynamic of our relationship and what we are able to do. And, obviously the financial aspect of it is huge, but for me, it's not necessarily about what my body looks like and then what it's going to change to. It's like, it's going to be at least 2 to 3 years of like that human needs me.
Yeah.
And yes, I have a very supportive partner and like he will help in any capacity, but it's like, do we want to shift our entire lives?
Because you have to.
Forever.
Yeah.
It's not just like those few years either. It's like there's so much more to it. And
you're now parents.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that
it's
comes
a big
with
deal.
that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And again, that's like I said, looking at like everything that a female would have to go through for that. I was like, sure, I have sisters and I've been there with them along the ride. But being the male in the situation, like I don't have to worry about, my body having to push out a human, because I can't imagine. That'd be terrifying. Like I don't even like having a full stomach after a meal, like let alone now do that for X amount of months and then push it all out at once.
Yeah. And then try and like reconnect with your body and like figure out how everything works because everything is so different then at that point
all the
too.
hormones and everything.
There's just so much that is involved in it. And we just haven't gotten to that point yet.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I
you
get
want
it.
the kids.
I do. And what's
Yeah.
wild is like, again, I'm 37 now.
Yeah.
If you would have asked me at 18, like,
Well, that was so long ago.
I know, but if you would have asked me at 18, be like, hey, all right, by the time you're 25, what do you think? I probably would have thought I would have had like 3 kids by then.
By 25.
I've always wanted a family.
Okay.
I'm sure I'm an outlier, especially in like today's culture.
No.
But I've always wanted like a family, which is
Yeah.
weird. But like, I love where I'm at now. Like
Yeah.
I love what I'm doing. I love being able to do this. I have my dog. Even the dog is like enough of a concern in the back of my head. Like, oh, I've been gone for 8 hours. I should probably like go let my dog out kind of thing. So now like thinking of like, oh man, like bringing kids into this situation. But yeah, for whatever reason, when I was younger, I was like, yeah, I'm going to have a big family.
Are you dating anyone now?
Not currently.
Okay. So
you know anybody?
We need
No,
to
just kidding.
find a woman first for.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm already talking about like, oh yeah, man, I'm 37 and I have kids. It's like you're not even dating
I
anybody.
was like, we got to get it. You know anyone? Well, I'm sure we could figure something out.
Austin is a great scene for sure for that kind of stuff. But it's almost like, I don't know. There's a lot of like pretentiousness here as well.
I mean, that's everywhere.
That is, well, not in Albuquerque.
Well, Albuquerque, how many people live in Albuquerque actually?
I want to say maybe if you include like the little like Rio Rancho, like the little like suburbs, I want to say it's probably right around 1 million, maybe 1.2.
Is it really that big?
Yeah, I would, if I had to guess, like throwing out a ballpark, I'd say somewhere between 800,000 and 1.2 million, somewhere in there.
What? That seems like it's more than Denver. I mean, it's more than Austin. Austin's not that big.
I think Austin is that big.
No, if you pull it out. If you pull out, you don't want to pull
not
out.
a fan of pulling out.
If you extend, maybe, but like in Austin proper, I don't think is that actually that big.
Yeah, I mean, Albuquerque is very spread out. Like it's like
that's kind of awesome.
Kind of like
too.
Phoenix. Have you been to Phoenix?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Phoenix is very like spread out. Like Albuquerque doesn't have like a very dense area.
Yeah.
Like downtown Austin or like New York, Chicago, Boston, anything like that.
Right.
Like it's not very dense, but it is like low spread out.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean. Now you got me thinking. Maybe like I would say 800,000-ish in Albuquerque. New Mexico total I think has less than 2 million people.
Oh, but everyone's in Albuquerque or
everyone's
Santa Fe?
In Albuquerque, Santa Fe, and then Las Cruces is the other kind of like big city. I only consider them a big city because they have a division.
They
college.
have college. Yeah, I drove through Las Cruces, so we've driven back to Colorado a couple times.
Okay.
And we either go the Santa Fe route or we've gone Las Cruces to like try a different route.
Oh, and then just up
and
I-25
just straight
away.
up.
Wow.
Yeah. So we've gone to Denver, but we also, my husband's from a small town called Ouray, which is near Telluride.
Ouray is gorgeous.
Yeah. So
that's like, I don't want to tell people about Ouray.
Oh yeah.
It's so pretty, but like I don't want it to turn into like the next big ski city.
It's too small and it's too hard to get to.
It's very hard to get to.
It is so hard to get to. But like people will go to Telluride, which is way more expensive, and you can ski there and stuff.
And it's not that far from Ouray, right?
No, Telluride's like 45 minutes to an hour. And his parents now live in Ridgeway, which is the town. Ridgeway is basically like there's you either go left to Ouray or right to Telluride. So you drive right through it basically. But it's a really, really small town. I mean, his graduating class was 23 people.
Oh wow.
The whole
was
town,
like 60.
The whole town itself was 800 people.
Wow.
Like, and he grew up there.
Yeah.
So
that's wild.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody from Ouray. I've only been there. And in fact, most people like that I've ever talked to about Ouray have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's also spelt weird.
Yes. And people mostly are like, Ouray? And it's Ouray. Yeah.
I went up there because my ex-uncle-in-law passed away and we spread his ashes in Ouray, like in the river.
Yeah. I mean, it is beautiful. Don't get me wrong.
Beautiful. Yeah. We went to Glenwood Springs is where he was living. And Glenwood Springs is really pretty
Beautiful.
too. That's a cool area. I like Glenwood Springs.
Yeah, Crested Butte. There's so many great mountain towns. If you leave Denver, like there's so much beauty outside of, but Denver, I was just over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to college in the southeast plains of Colorado.
What was the school?
La Junta.
The
town was La Junta. It was Otero Junior College.
Okay, I haven't heard of that, but I know where La Junta is.
It was in the same conference as like Lamar, Trinidad.
Okay. Like JUCO?
JUCO, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's funny, sometimes I'll say JUCO and people don't even know what I'm talking about. JUCO.
Wow. Student athlete over
It was a Jewish college.
Yeah,
junior college. But yeah, so I went, that's such an ugly part of the state. So gross over there.
There's not much, which is like so crazy because there's so much other beauty. And you went to
Trinidad's really pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like trying to think of Trinidad and
Trinidad and Tobago.
Tobago.
Yeah, not the same.
But that's like the first thing I think. No, Trinidad, something is there.
If for a long time, this was
Yeah.
like back in, so we're the same age. This
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like, you know, freshman, sophomore year of college. It was really known as like the sex change capital.
That's what I was thinking of. I
Yeah.
was like, yeah. And now it's not anymore.
Well, I think it's just a lot more
Well,
common
it's
now.
more people can go other places. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
We used to call it Trimanad. Trimanad.
Oh
Yeah.
my
That's what we call it in
God.
college because, you know, there are rivals. Yeah.
Because also you're college.
Yeah, also you're in college,
Yeah.
you say dumb shit. Yeah,
Don't say
Trimanad.
that in your 30s anymore.
Yeah. But so if you take that I-25 trip
Yeah.
out from Cruces to Denver, you drive through Trinidad.
Got
Like,
it.
that's
Yes,
the big
that is
mountain
true.
pass right there. Is
Yeah.
like the Raton Pass on into the
Yeah.
Colorado border through Trinidad.
Yeah. I don't think we need to drive that again, though.
That's a wild one to go down through Cruces and all the way up through I-25.
I don't know. We just wanted to like do something else, but
I respect that.
even just driving to Denver from Austin is like such a pain in the ass. I'm like,
How
how are
long of a
we
drive?
still in Texas?
Oh, it's huge.
Oh,
The halfway point when I drive to Albuquerque is still in Texas.
It's about 15 or 16 hours, depending on how much you stop.
That sounds about right because Albuquerque's 11.
Yeah, it's funny because it feels way closer to even Albuquerque.
And then you look on an actual map because if you're like,
Yeah.
if I look on a map now, I still am not familiar with Texas.
Yes.
But then you look and I'm like way down
Austin
south
is-
central. I'm like, oh shit, there's
Yeah.
a lot of Texas.
We're actually going to Marfa.
I've heard of yeah.
Have you been?
I've never been.
And it's
There's
still-
like a Prada store there, right?
Yeah.
So random.
It's like I think it's a fake Prada store. I don't know, maybe
Oh.
they sell real things. But
I thought it
anyways,
was
it's a
real,
little
yeah.
town. It's like a cute town now. And then we're going into Big Bend National Park. But it's
Oh.
still 7 hours away and you're still not even close to like El Paso or towards the end of
It's
Texas.
so
I'm
wild,
like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I hear like Gino and like some of the other guys talk about like, oh, I'm down from the valley.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm thinking El Paso. And they're like, no, that's still like another, like it's between like here in El Paso.
Oh,
I'm like, oh
interesting.
God,
Okay.
Texas is huge. El Paso's so far away.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Marfa, I've probably heard about like in the late 90s.
Yeah.
And it was because they have aliens.
Yes.
Yeah, the Marfa Lights.
We're hoping to see them.
Man, good luck.
Do you believe in aliens?
Absolutely.
Okay,
well,
good.
I bring, again, me being very much in my faith,
Yeah.
I do believe in the existence of them, but
Yeah.
I don't think that they're like extraterrestrials. I think that they are like beings.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't think like, I mean, they might be from like another planet, but I think that they are like beings, like maybe fallen angels or something. I think there's more to it than that. Again,
Cool.
I'm very deep in my faith.
Got it.
Yeah.
I just believe in aliens in general.
Yeah,
I don't know
there's
what they
something else.
are,
I
what they
definitely
look
don't believe
like.
we're alone. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious to the concept because some people talk about like, well, maybe they're actually coming from the ocean because there's so much of the ocean that's like unexplored,
Untouched, yeah.
untouched. And like I've seen videos, I think that they're recorded by like a Navy base in San Diego
Yeah.
of like ships like at a rapid speed going into the water where there should be wreckage.
Yeah.
And they find no wreckage, and it just like to me, I'm like, oh, maybe they're returning back to the water.
Wow.
Yeah, that's again a crazy concept. Like
You
maybe I
never
need to
know.
listen to more Rogan. I have no idea, but I don't believe we're alone. That's for sure.
That is for sure. I don't
Yeah.
either. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So what got you into fitness after college?
Yeah, so I ran a few marathons actually. This is randomly
You
enough,
were a runner.
especially because I didn't like running, but the only thing I knew how to do was run, and it was really just run fast, turn left.
Yeah.
Even when I was like lifting in track, I still didn't really know exactly what I was doing.
Yeah.
And so after I was done, I was partying too much, binge ate, was in a really dark spiral for a really long time.
Yeah.
But I started going to this track and just like running repeat 200s. Like that's really all I knew. And I was like, this is stupid. I can't do this anymore. And so then I signed up for the LA Marathon to get closer to my stepdad. And we ran the marathon and I hated every second of it. But then I was like, I want to do this again. So then I ran the Vancouver Marathon. And then I was like, well, I need to beat 4 hours. So I ran the Chicago Marathon and hit 4:07. And I was like, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah.
And then all the while, a friend was asking me to go to this like boot camp kind of style at the park. And I was like, that's silly. I just like kind of pushed it away. I was in still drinking, partying phase. And then I finally went. And it was the best experience ever. It was like
nice.
high fives and fist bumps and competitiveness and just like really uplifting people. And I started going to that gym. They ended up opening up a gym for about 6 months into it. They asked me to be a coach. And that's kind of how I started like my real fitness journey.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of athletes kind of want to stay around it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I said, for me, it came down to A, how do I know how to help people the most?
Yeah.
And B, what am I good at?
Yeah.
And it became one of those things, and like I was telling you, like if I have kids and they're not athletes, I don't know what to do because I know how much it meant for me.
Yeah.
Like I know how much fitness like has really changed my life, not only health wise,
For sure.
but like socially. Like I said, my best friends are still from either baseball or golf or MMA.
Yeah.
Golf's another sport you can play the rest of your life, by the way, if you're looking for
My
something.
husband loves golf. If you ever need a golf buddy.
Did we just become best friends?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love golf. I'm obsessed. But it's one of those things like all my friends, my best friends come from sports or the gym, which is, there are gym athletes. That's a realization I had to have coming on it. Like, I'm like, why are these fuckers going so hard in the gym? Like, you should be preserving yourself to go play your sport is like my mentality. And I was like, oh wait, this is their sport.
Yes, exactly.
This is their sport. Like guys like Juan or Larry.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is their extracurricular activity. Whereas in me is like, I want to, swing my golf club harder. I want to kick harder, whatever. So I'm like working on like rotational power. I'm working on like joint stability, shit like that.
Yeah.
And then like I do like the On It coaches class. So I'm like, this is hard just for the sake of being hard.
I know.
And I'm like, oh, it's because this is their sport.
Exactly. And then you're too exhausted to even want to play golf.
Right.
Teddy says that all the time too. He's like, I can't go to those classes. I won't be able to golf the next day.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah. I definitely have like kept that in mind. Like, especially if I'm about to go on a golf trip, I'm like, maybe don't hit the coaches workout the Wednesday before I leave on a Friday for a golf trip. I'm like, I don't want to feel like ass this whole time.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah. So what's next? So you have the Broads app.
Yes. Yeah. So that's a big build. We just launched about a month ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've seen you guys blowing it up online. It looks great.
Super new. Just about keep improving that and keep the membership building there, and just that's the main focus next year. I'd love to like get into a little bit more like speaking stuff and more in-person potentially classes or projects here and there because I love it.
Yeah.
I also host retreats a couple times a year. So
oh, no way.
I have one in Nicaragua in April. And
That's
then
awesome.
I just love so much of what I do and who I can help. So I just continue to do what I do.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, it's one of those things like I have over the last couple of years, I have come to the realization that this is something that I can do forever.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've told this story on the podcast before, but like even when I was training John Jones, who's like the greatest MMA fighter of all time, in the back of my mind, I'm like, someday I'm gonna need a real job.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the realization of Albuquerque. Like it's very like there's stuff moving there. Like Netflix just moved out there.
Okay.
I think they have a Facebook like big building out there.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of like entrepreneurs. There's not a lot of people like following their own path out there.
Yeah.
And not to knock people that are like grinding away at what they're doing. Like if that's rewarding, which I have a hard time believing it's rewarding, but if it's rewarding, good for you. Like that's great. You're taking care of yourself, your family, whatever. But that's not for me. Like I don't want to sit at a desk all day.
Right.
I don't want to. I remember I was working at Discount Tire before I started training, and I just through like a buddy that I coached baseball with. He got me a job, and I was a tire technician, which was a fucking awful job, but great company. Like I'll always take my car to Discount Tire, but it was a tough job. And the manager was a friend of mine because, like I said, we coached baseball together, and so he started like getting me ready to like start working the front of house, like being a manager, and they're like 6-figure guys at that position. And so I was like, all right, cool, like let me try that. And I was like a day or two like sitting at a computer, like just checking people in. I'm like, this is not it. Like I was like, what the fuck am I gonna do?
Yeah.
And then I started training people and like really like scraping by, but like I loved it. But I mean, there'd be times where I'd park my car in the back of the apartment complex because I didn't want to get it repossessed because I was late on car payments.
Yeah.
But I loved what I was doing for a living.
Yeah.
And so I was like caught in this area of like, fuck, I want to do this, but I cannot afford to live at these trainer rates. But moving to a city like Austin, it's such a big deal here. It's like, oh, I can do this forever.
Yeah.
Albuquerque, like fitness isn't huge.
Interesting.
It's really not.
Yeah.
Like it's so far back on the back burner.
Yeah.
Like most people aren't willing to financially or like emotionally commit to what it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. But like I move out here and I shit you not, for my new hire orientation at On It, we had our CEO at the time like going over everything and like I was like trying to hold back tears.
Aww.
I'm like, oh shit, like I can actually do this.
Here.
Yeah. It was that realization of like, I can't believe I'm working On It.
Yeah.
And like I'm in this. And then also like the fact that I'm like, oh, I can actually make a career of this.
Cool.
And it was like one of those things where I was like I said, I was legit like trying not to cry, like because I was on camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's super sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, because I love it. I love what I do. And it's so rewarding.
It is so rewarding.
I can't picture doing anything else.
Yeah.
And especially if like having to like provide, like I'm like, fuck, maybe I'll go back to Discount Tire and work at the front desk. Like, hell no.
Yeah.
I could never.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
now you make it work no matter what.
Yeah. And that's what I've done.
And there's so many opportunities, right? Like there's obviously the in-person, there's obviously online. Like there's so many ways to reach people in a way that makes them feel good.
Retreats would be fun.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Have you done them before?
I've hosted 5, one in Colombia actually.
Oh, no shit.
Guatemala.
You let me know if you do another one in Colombia,
Costa Rica.
and I will co-host it with you.
Yeah. They're mostly women only.
You know, hey, great place for me to meet a woman.
Yeah, there you go.
Just
there
kidding.
you go. But yeah, I love them so much. They're a lot of work for sure.
I'm sure, yeah.
But it's just a really great experience for me to connect more with my clients and also do it. I'm a huge traveler, so I get to experience a new place, adventure, and also like do what I love. So it's my favorite. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Happy for you.
Yeah, thank you.
When's the next retreat? Nicaragua?
Nicaragua in April, and I'll probably put one on the schedule for next fall at some point too.
Interesting. As a guy, I have no idea what I'd host a retreat in, especially because like, I really don't like to pigeonhole myself, but like what I'm known for is training fighters.
Yeah.
Like, how do you host a retreat for fighters?
Ooh, so many ideas for you.
All right,
if
we
you
can
want
talk
to talk
about that.
that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that off camera.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so the Broads app. Tell the people where to find you, where to find the Broads app, and
Yeah. So I'm Tara LaFerrara on everything: Threads, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all the places. I also have my own podcast called The Tara Talk. And Broads is my fitness app. It's in the App Store on Google and iPhone.
Nice.
And it's you get 7 days free if you want to try out the membership.
Wow. I'll tell my
and
sisters.
then if you want personalized coaching, we also have that as well involved as well.
Yeah, very nice. I love that Callaway's involved.
Yes.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, super excited.
I talked to her actually last night about coming on, her and her friend Kelly.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, I know. I was joking. I was like, yeah, maybe I'll have Kelly on, because I saw Kelly recently did a podcast.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, maybe have both of us on. And I was like, that would be hilarious.
That would be super
That'd be really funny.
Yeah, at the same time. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to come chat with me today and get to know each other a little bit better and spread the good word about fitness. It's always a good time.
And women, keep lifting heavy shit.
Yeah, lift heavy shit, women. Be
Make
badass.
those insecure men scared of you.
Yeah. Badass women attract badass men. So just throwing that out there.
There you go.
All right, cool. Thanks for tuning into the Lion Spit podcast, everyone. Again, I am your host, Nick Gomez. This is my host, Tara LaFerrara. I appreciate you coming on. Shout out to the fine folks at LSKD for decking me out with the finest workout apparel, and we will catch you guys next time.